So, since a certain someone is coming back in Star Wars Rebels tomorrow, as of this recording, I decided to do a segment of Legends of Evil on none other than Grand Admiral Thrawn. Probably one of the best Star Wars characters, not just in the EU, but in Star Wars, period. When you think great villains, for me, it's Palpatine, Vader, and Thrawn. You know, you can't go wrong with this guy, because let's kind of face it, Thrawn kind of ran the Empire better than than Palpatine did. He really did. Now, what I'm about to tell you guys, from the knowledge of Thrawn, you know, basically everything known about Thrawn may be subject to change, because since he's now part of the new Disney EU in Star Wars Rebels, and Timothy Zahn is doing a new novel on Thrawn in this new continuity, I'm unfortunately, a lot of this stuff may change. A lot of the stuff in here, because obviously it's from the previous EU, so yeah, a lot of this stuff is going to change. So a lot of this is the point's kind of moot, but yeah, since it's in the new continuity, we get to see him before he ever showed up in the original EU, and yeah, so all of this is just previous canon, and yeah, we don't know anything as of this recording about this new canon for it. All I hope is that they don't ruin Thrawn. Don't do it, okay? You literally have one of the greatest Star Wars characters in your show now, Disney. Well, Dave Filoni, what you did to Quinlan Vos, don't do it to Thrawn, okay? I'm still pissed off about what Clone Wars did with Quinlan Vos. So you'll forgive me if I'm still a little leery about having Thrawn in here. Anyway, so let's talk about, for those who are unaware of who Thrawn is, let's talk a bit about the Grand Admiral. So Thrawn, for those who are unaware, Thrawn is he's a Chiss. A Chiss are a type of aliens that were from almost beyond the Outer Rim, and yeah, he was banished from his homeworld, and eventually Palpatine found him and saw that he was such a tactical genius that he kind of broke the rule, because for those who don't know, the Empire was very xenophobic and only humans could join. Thrawn was the only non-human officer in the Empire. He was the only non-human in the Empire, serving the Empire, and Thrawn was damn good at his job. He was a master tactician. This guy could literally look at a situation and, you know, devastate his opponents with ease and speed. This guy was, you know, like I said, this guy probably ran the Empire better than he did, you know, better than the Emperor himself did. So after 9 years after the Battle of Yavin, excuse me, yeah, 9 ABY, after 9 ABY, which is 9 years after the Battle of Yavin, what had happened was that the Empire was in ruins. The New Republic was being formed, and along comes Thrawn, who gathers the remaining Imperial forces alongside his second-in-command, Paleon. I hope I'm saying that name right. Gilliard Paleon, who was he shows up a lot more. Paleon shows up a lot more, and I should do a segment on him, because he's an equally interesting character who led the Imperial Remnant long after Thrawn's death. But anyway, so Thrawn and Paleon went about trying to recreate the Imperial Remnant, and from that they formed a new group of Imperial forces. Now, unlike the Emperor and his whole thing of, I'm going to, you know, only humans can be a part of this, and, you know, I'm going to build a giant fucking ship. It wasn't like that with Thrawn. Thrawn knew that this stuff was costly and usually had its weaknesses, so he didn't bother with a fucking Death Star or a Super Star Destroyer. In fact, his ship, the Chimera, was a regular Star Destroyer. That was it. It was a regular Star Destroyer, and he spent the Imperial credits that they had on, you know, taking care of his troops, better equipment, and he spent most of his time repairing all the damage that the Emperor had caused in the beginning until he was ready to go. Now, the other thing that he had under his belt was, of course, Mara Jade, and a clone of a Jedi Master called Jerus Sabaoth, who, again, I should probably do a segment on him as well. But yeah, with all of these guys under his belt, Thrawn, after getting his shit together, Thrawn launched a series of hit-and-run attacks throughout most of the Outer Rim and some of the Mid-Rim territories of the New Republic, more or less confusing the New Republic forces, as well as dividing their troops and, devastating very vital areas that the New Republic needed for resources. So Thrawn would do this because he knew he couldn't do, he no longer had the Imperial resources. He didn't have that anymore. What he needed to do was get in, wreck shit, get out. That was his plan for a while. Get in, wreck shit, get out. At the same time, he would also help Jeruis try to capture Luke and Leia. But he also had reasons for capturing Luke and Leia as well. Keep in mind, Leia was pregnant with Jason and Jaina Solo. Yeah, you remember those characters? Yeah, you'll never see them again. With everyone else, sadly, those are characters we'll never get again, right? Anyway, so, what was I saying? Anyway, so eventually, Thrawn managed to gather his forces enough to launch these huge attacks on the Empire, and even, not the Empire, the New Republic. Oh, why did I say Empire? And the Rebellion, the New Republic couldn't really handle it. They were basically getting their shit wrecked constantly. And, yeah, Thrawn managed to, he could pick apart a person, just by looking at them and backtracking them. And, even looking into their species artwork. It's very much like the Zola algorithm in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. It is think that. Like, you can tell a person's future and personality from just their records and what scores they made in high school. That's kind of how it was with Thrawn, is that he would look upon every little detail of his opponents and proceed to pick apart every little detail that he could from his enemies and proceed to fuck them up. So that was Thrawn's whole game, was that while he didn't have the Force, what he did have was a very big brain and a lot of drive. He had a lot of patience and a way to destroy the New Republic, and he nearly goddamn did it too. But the other thing you have to understand is that Thrawn, like I said, he didn't have the Force. He was a completely new enemy because he didn't rely on the Force. He didn't need to, he didn't need he was not Force sensitive. All he was a soldier. And the other thing about him was that while the previous Empire, under Palpatine's rule, would have soldiers be executed for messing up or something like that nature, Thrawn was a little more chivalrous. He was a little more chivalrous than that. Oh yeah, he was a conniving bastard, don't get me wrong. But the dude actually treated his troops with a lot of respect. There was one point in one of the books where I think it was a private, and he basically nearly captured Luke in a tractor beam in mid hyperspace jump. So, but however, Luke managed to escape, and Thrawn went to approach the man, and everyone's thinking, "Oh, he's gonna punish the guy because that's how it is for the Empire." And Thrawn went about saying, "I've never seen anything like that. You're going to now study this tractor beam in hyperspace combination, and I'm going to promote you to a lieutenant, and I'm going to give you a whole wing of researchers to look into this and see if we can do it better." Thrawn was also the person who created the Indirectors, which were these type of Star Destroyers that could pull ships right out of hyperspace. And in fact, that's kind of what I just said is kind of where the Indirectors came from. And those are in canon in the new canon now, just like Thrawn. Anyway, so eventually Thrawn didn't take into account that his own people would turn on him. Namely, one of his own Nagori bodyguards named Rook, who turned on him and killed him, and he was totally surprised. And from there, Paleon, just when they were getting their shit together, and just when they were about to just unleash utter hell, Paleon, with Thrawn gone, Paleon just was like, "Oh shit, we just lost Thrawn. What the fuck do we do? Go, we gotta go." But yeah, however, this was not the in the previous EU. This was not the end of the Empire, because Paleon would continue to rule it, even to a point where the Empire kind of carved out a piece of the galaxy for themselves, and in a way, it was kind of awesome. Anyway, so there you go. There is a brief. There's just the brief rundown of Grand Admiral Thrawn for you guys. But again, all of this is kind of moot. The point's kind of moot because, again, now, you know, this stuff is no longer canon. I just decided to do a segment on him because, yeah, Thrawn's coming and I'm super fucking excited. But yeah, like I said, none of this is canon anymore. But yeah, now that he's in Rebels, hopefully they won't fucking kill him off. I know he's not in Force Awakens, but what I'm kind of hoping, and this is what I'm kind of working on now until I see otherwise, is that, here's my thought, because obviously Timothy Zahn, the guy who wrote the Thrawn trilogy, you know, he's writing a new Thrawn novel in the new Disney canon. But I'm hoping that it's after Return of the Jedi, and it talks about Thrawn after the war. Now, it probably won't be like the Thrawn novel. What I'm betting is, what I'm hoping is that Thrawn was the person responsible for helping to create the First Order. Like, he managed to get the Imperial Remnant together. Maybe he worked with Snoke. Maybe he trained Hux. I don't know. But what I'm hoping for is that Thrawn survives Rebels Season 3, and what happens next is that he goes on to eventually help kind of create the First Order. Yeah, that would be kind of awesome. I mean, yeah, I think that would be pretty cool if he was the person who, I wouldn't say that he created the First Order, but he went on to help create the First Order. But again, that's just my working theory, and again, I could be totally fucking wrong. But anyway, so you guys tell me, what do you guys think of Grand Admiral Thrawn? You guys like him? Do you guys hate him? Just comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.